That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
I will say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner. Welcome to 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football, the only NFL show that gives you everything you need to know about the National Football League in just 30-ish minutes a day. I am your host, Brian McFadden. Joining me, as he does every Wednesday, is Jimmy Ray from the NFL Stats account on Twitter at NFL_stats. It's Wednesday, Jimmy, which means it's Power Rankings Day. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite episodes each week. This is now, I think, our fourth time doing this. I feel like we're getting a little bit better feel. Are you ready to go into week 7?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get too much feed or pushback last week with our rankings.
We got compliments.
So, yeah, we got some compliments. I mean, how often does that happen? But yeah, we just do the best we can. We don't try to pander too much. We just try to rank how we can. But overall, it's an exciting time to be a sports fan as a whole in October.
So many sports, NBA starting. Yeah. The playoffs going in full bloom in Major League Baseball, but we're here for the NFL. We're here to do the power rankings. I feel like we've got a pretty good system down. The fact that we do this draft style where you've got your rankings, I've got mine, albeit they tend to align, and that's got to change eventually. So I think that's made it really easy to defend our picks, and I think we just got so good last week that nobody had any complaints.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it happens. I doubt it'll happen again this week.
No way we can keep that up. It's we're just riding that high. I will say this: it's an art, not a science. And at the end of the day, these things will all work themselves out come playoff time, right? You win the games, you win your division, you're one of the top 7 teams in each conference. You make it your way in. All we're doing is taking a snapshot of time. Speaking of time, I won't waste any more of yours if you're tuning into this live. This is 30 Minutes of Football, which means we're going to get right down to it. Anthony Wayner behind the scenes. Go ahead and get that timer ready. 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. Power Rankings Draft start now. I believe that I had the first pick last week, Jimmy, so we will turn it to you. I think this is going to be the easiest of all the 32 picks. Why don't you go ahead and get it kick-started?
All right. The Carolina Panthers, I mean, they had a wide receiver throw a tantrum on the sideline after the game. They have a new head coach.
Wait. Back up. Threw a tantrum and then was gone in less than 24 hours later.
Was gone the next day. Sam Darnold might come back. There's not much to say about the Panthers other than there's a lot of possibility of trade rumors going on with the team. Some of their players, other than just Robbie Anderson, might be on new teams. Brian Burns, Christian McCaffrey. We'll just have to wait and see. DJ Moore could be headed elsewhere, but that's the biggest tagline for this team right now, 1-5.
Yeah, I think if you're a Panthers fan, the silver lining is you're going to get the number 1 overall pick. You've got a very quality class of quarterbacks to choose from. You've got P.J. Walker starting against this week. Baker's not the answer. Darnold's not the answer. Darnold is back from IR. It can't get much worse. But that's what you have to look forward to. Let's not stay on Carolina any longer. Let's go ahead and move to number 31. This one, in my book, was just a result of the teams that were below them won. So the Texans, I know you were on bye last week, but I'm going to have to put you at 31. You did get your first victory against the Jags prior to the bye. But still, other than that, there's a team without much pop. Davis Mills not looking as good as he did last year. They did get rid of Jack Easterby. That's the silver lining for this week. So the organization as a whole can only move up from here.
Yeah, not much to say about them. I had them in the same exact spot. And this team kind of had that same situation happen. The Detroit Lions, Anthony's team, I have down here. It's just kind of from their last loss. That's just kind of in the air right now. Even after their bye against the Patriots, not putting up a single point. So we'll have to see. They have the Cowboys next, which isn't any better.
Big chance for Detroit, Anthony, and any other Lions fans out there, if you're upset that we put them at 30 when they didn't have a game last week. You beat the Cowboys this week with that strong defense. You're going to be moving up a few spots. I had the Lions at 29. I struggled with who I was going to put with this other team, and that is the Chicago Bears. Fresh off that loss to the Commanders, and it was more like if the Bears were playing the Lions this week, I would pick the Lions, even though the Bears do have 2 wins. So that was my personal logic, but that's not how the draft works. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Chicago Bears at number 29. The offense has looked slightly better as far as the passing game. The running game still looks strong. But you just lost to the freaking Commanders in a game that somehow rivaled how boring the Colts-Broncos game was. So not a lot of silver lining for Chicago right now.
Yeah, I don't think they're really built for success this season, honestly. I mean, Justin Fields, hopefully he can get better, but the team around him just isn't helping him, and he's not showing much in the passing game specifically. So I had them around here as well. So.
Well, let's not put any more time. Let's give the time to the teams that need it, especially at the top, and I think we'll have some time in the middle. So let's go ahead and keep it rolling with number 28.
Yeah, next team is the team that beat them, the Commanders.
Yep.
I mean, they didn't look good, and Carson Wentz is going to be out now, so we'll have to wait and see.
That might not be a bad thing.
Might not be bad.
Heineke, we've seen him. We might get to see Sam Howell. I mean, we should at some point. So I'm slightly up on the Commanders without Wentz back there.
It's only bad for the Colts because they have their conditional second-round pick if Carson Wentz plays a lot. So we'll just wait and see. But they did beat the Bears, but I didn't see it as an impressive win. It was kind of one of those Thursday night games like the Broncos-Colts last week.
Yeah, the Bears, quite frankly, outplayed the Commanders. They had 3 trips inside the 5 that resulted in a grand total of 0 points. So if they convert even one of those, if Darnell Mooney holds on to the ball when he first touches it in the end zone instead of bobbling it and catching it at the 1, then these teams are switched. The Commanders are probably still at 31, and we're talking about yet another loss for Washington, on top of all the other Daniel Snyder organizational-related issues. So let's not spend any more time on Washington. Let's keep this party rolling. I'm going to go ahead and put the Denver Broncos at number 27. There was some debate in my mind to put them even lower. I'm like, no, they've won 2 games. Let's give them credit for that. They did take the Chargers, who, are 4-2, into overtime, but yet another loss, yet another horrible offensive display, and there's legitimate concern for the coaching for Russell Wilson as quarterback. He's got yet another injury, and I don't know. This organization's a mess right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. Melvin Gordon's situation is weird. Their defense is pretty good, though. Baron Browning had an interception. Justin Simmons came back. Alex Singleton had 21 tackles, which was nice, and Patrick Surtain's pretty good. But overall, their offense just kind of putting them down here. And
that's the problem. Yes, you're right. I do give credit to Denver's defense. They have been very good. Pat Surtain's shutdown quarter. Nice to get Justin Simmons back from injured reserve. But without being able to score points, especially in the AFC and AFC West specifically, you're just not going to win too many games. Hopefully they can turn it around. Let's get on. Who do you have at 26?
Yeah, this was kind of a late switch for me on my power rankings. I just decided to put them down here. Was the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've had some
big drop.
Big drop. The tough string of losses so far. They had good plays, but I'm pretty sure the first 3 big plays in the first half contributed to 70% of their yards against the Colts, which wasn't good to see. Trevor Lawrence isn't playing the best. I think it could end up being a similar situation to how the Bears, they have some better players, but I think at this point, they've kind of shown us who they might be throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm surprised with how much Jacksonville's dropped. I did have them a little bit higher. I had them at 22 in my rankings, but they were looking so good from shutting out the Colts to absolutely destroying the Chargers that we just talked about, who are 4-2. This team looked like they had turned a corner. The offense has actually been able to move the ball. They moved the ball well against the Texans, but they couldn't punch it in. They should have won this Colts game, but kudos to your Colts for playing better than they have all season. Hopefully there's a turnaround there. But yeah, they've now lost 3 in a row, and you have to put them there. They're just they need to prove that they can turn it back around to how they played early on in the season, or else they're going to keep on falling. Number 25, I'm going to put the Cardinals. What a disappointing. I was so convinced that if there was one game they could win, it was going up against the Seahawks in what had been one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and they mustered a whole 9 points. Their only touchdown was a defensive touchdown. This was pretty much rock bottom. They lost Marquise Brown for a minimum of 1 month. They do get DeAndre Hopkins back, but this Cardinals team, not a lot to get excited about. Hopefully they can turn it around Thursday against the Saints.
Yeah, their offense only scored 3 points against a team allowing 30 points per game.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, not much else to say after that. Cliff Kingsbury, Not looking great if it keeps up like this.
Yeah, I've been saying this since last year that I was not a Kingsbury fan. They started hot last year, and okay, I quieted down a little bit, but this has just shown that I just don't think he's cut out to be an NFL head coach, and I really don't think he's cut out to be an NFL play caller on the offensive side of the ball. The offense is very predictable. It basically relies on Kyler just running around and hoping to make a play. The fact that they get Hopkins back, that's big, because if you have Kyler running around throwing the ball to DeAndre Hopkins, chances are you'll score some points. But man, it's been painful to watch Arizona this year. Number 24, let's hear who you got.
All right, for my next team, I have a team who had an impressive win this week. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers. They did beat the Buccaneers. They had a solid win. They put some pressure on Brady. Chase Claypool had a good game, but there's some Kenny Pickett's banged up. Mitch Trubisky had a good touchdown at the end of the game, but I still don't think they're a good team without TJ Watt as a whole. I think it was more so the Buccaneers' offenses might be worse than we think it is right now. They can't gel together.
Yeah, I did share some concerns in the offseason about this Bucs offense, but I kept saying, like, it's Tom Brady. He'll probably prove me wrong, but I just felt like when he loses that competitive edge, that's what he has that sets him apart. And you can say it's the personal issues. You can say it's the fact that he at least thought about retirement and did retire for 40 days, but he just doesn't seem to be as locked in as he normally does, and that affects the rest of the offense. The offensive line has had losses, which means they're not as good. They're not running the ball well. It's just not sinking. I agree. This was more on the Bucs than it was on the Steelers. I had the Steelers also exactly at 24, but I did have them above this next team. Maybe shouldn't have, but we got to go ahead and put the Raiders on there. I know that they're a better team than their record shows, but until they win more than one game, and yes, I know they had a bye. This was more just a representation of, at the end of the day, we're putting teams behind them that have only won 2 games. Raiders have still only won 1 game. Prove it. Show us you can do more. Show us you can build on all of this talent that you had. Until then, we got to keep them low in the power rankings.
Yeah, and they have a good chance against the Texans. So if they can beat the Texans, that'll be good. They're hopefully. It could be a good game, but if it is a good game, then it kind of says a lot about the Raiders too.
I'll say this: that as stacked as the AFC is in general, there's more of an opportunity right now. I mentioned before we started recording, both the Colts and the Jets, as of right now, are in the playoffs. Like the Raiders, even at 1-4, are not out of it. You can make a run. You can be competitive. You can win some of these games, starting with the game that you should absolutely win against Houston. So we could be up from here, Raiders fans, but as it stands now, 1 win, got to put you at 23. Let's hear who you have at 22, Jimmy.
This is a pretty banged up team. The New Orleans Saints, they don't even know who's actually going to start. Is it Jameis Winston? Is it Andy Dalton? They have a lot of injuries. Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, Marshawn Lattimore. They had some progress on the offensive side of the ball this week against the Bengals and got some points, but some of the time they couldn't finish in the red zone, and they gave up a win there at the end of the game, and that's kind of telling for some teams.
Yeah, they came out with the right game plan. They really committed to running the football against the Bengals. They had control of that game, but it still wasn't enough. They weren't talented enough. Marshawn Lattimore might be the biggest loss from there. They are getting Chris Olave back this week, it looks like, but you're still going to have
Chris Olave.
Either Andy Dalton or Jameis Winston running that offense. Dennis Allen is not Sean Payton when it comes to play calling. Saints, Cardinals, yet another, at least on paper, primetime snoozer. Hopefully there's more fireworks than there have been the past 2 weeks. We got our 22 versus our 25, 2-2-4 teams.
Amazon once, yeah.
I keep saying it can't get worse, but they keep proving me wrong. So
it sure can.
Hopefully, I'm not even going to put that out into the universe. All
right,
hey,
I'm having fun just live tweeting it because people love... I think people love Snooze Fest in some way because everyone gathers together on Twitter and gets excited about it. But carry on.
There's a little bit of a collective commisery about it, right? Like we're all watching this horrible display of football before our very eyes. We can all kind of relate to each other that way.
Exactly.
All right. At number 21, I'm going to put the Cleveland Browns. This is a team that there was some hope. Jacoby Brissett, look at him. There was even a few small voices out there. Well, maybe we should keep him in when Deshaun Watson comes back. Well, those voices are completely out the window. I predicted that Bill Belichick, facing his old quarterback and knowing that all you have to do to stop the Browns is just hyper-focus on Nick Chubb in the run game, that the Patriots would win big, and they did. But this is now multiple losses in a row. This Browns team that at once was 2-1 is now at 2-4 and is going in the wrong direction here.
Yeah, I feel like if you saw their defense and stuff on paper, you'd be like, wow, that's even their offense. Wow, that's a solid team. They should be doing pretty good. But then they're 2-4, allowing the second most points per game allowed this season. Nick Chubb only had like 50 yards this week, and that's not going to win you a game when you're the Browns.
It's basically Myles Garrett, who
Yeah.
is still showing, he's still grading in the 90s on PFF, and no one else on that defense. And that's
Right.
surprising. This is a defense that, on paper, as you said, looks like they could be a dominant unit. Nothing is working other than the running game. And when the running game doesn't work like it did against New England, you get a blowout loss, which is what we just saw. Jacoby Brissett with 3 interceptions. Let's go to number 20. I'm going to go ahead and put the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah, you got to win. But against a division foe, it could be worse. You could be the Cardinals, which is why we got them 5 spots ahead. But still a lot of, the offense that had been so prominent in scoring points was not able to put many points up in this game. It was enough to get them a win. Defense came up, stepped up. Once again, as I said in previous weeks, the silver lining here is that you're 3-3. Actually, you're not. You're competitive in the NFC, which is wide open, especially in the wild card race. But you have a lot of young talent. John Schneider, Pete Carroll seem to have hit on this draft class. Tariq Woolen, Kobe Bryant, Kenneth Walker showing great on the other side of the ball. You got Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas, those tackles. You've got just 5 starting caliber rookies in this draft class. So that arrow points up for Seattle in general.
Yeah, I mean, a win's a win. I couldn't have said it better myself. And shout out Kenneth Walker. He's playing very well so far.
Good for you if you drafted him in Dynasty.
Right.
All right, let's we got about a minute 20 left. Let's hear number 19.
All right, I have my team. I feel like I talk about them every time, the Indianapolis Colts. I know they had a pretty impressive win, but I couldn't get myself to put them above some of these other teams yet. Matt Ryan threw the ball a lot. They seem to find a good strategy against the Jaguars, but they beat the Chiefs already, but I'm just kind of waiting to see them put together a full performance. Like the first half was rough. They had a great second half, but I wanted to see them put up a blowout win at some point. Until then, I'm not going to put them any higher than around this spot.
I'll say the offenses look better than it has all year. If they can build on that, they probably shouldn't have Matt Ryan throw the ball 58 times every game, but hopefully Jonathan Taylor comes back. Deion Jackson filled in nicely. And the defense made plays when they needed to. The Colts got away with the division win. I think this is a little reverse homerism. I had the Colts at 18, and the Dolphins below them at 19. So,
I had the Dolphins above too. So
right,
the Dolphins above the Colts. So
we had a little bit reverse. I think this is a reflection. Hopefully, Tua has been cleared. It looks like he is on track to start for Sunday Night Football against the Steelers. Hopefully they can get back on track. The offenses still look good. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill still putting up numbers. This offense still works. The defense needs to play a little better. They did play really well in the first half against the Vikings. But if they keep losing games, it doesn't matter who's at quarterback, third string, first string, you can't keep them too high in the power rankings. Got to keep them at 18.
Yep.
Okay, perfect timing. That is our halftime chime. This is the time where we'll quickly remind you guys, if you are not already subscribed to the Legit Football newsletter, we make it easy. We will curate all the top 6 stories from around the NFL every single day. We'll keep you up to date on all of the injuries, all of the latest news. We'll break it down for you, tell you only what you need to know so you can read it in 5 minutes or less and get about your day. LegitFootball.com, enter your email address. It's that easy. Check it out today. You can always unsubscribe if you don't like it. Jimmy, go ahead and plug NFL stats.
I'll just say at @NFL_stats. That's all you need on Twitter. Go
That's
check it out.
need.
Go follow it. You've probably seen it before.
Do you like stats? Yes, if you're watching this show. Do you like the NFL? Once again, if you're watching this show, are you on Twitter? Who isn't? At NFL_stats. We'll keep it as simple as that. Let's not waste any more time on halftime because I want to get back to the top 17 teams here. All right, so with 32, I put the Dolphins at 18.
Yeah,
I feel like we reverse? Weren't you the evens?
Screw
it up.
You picked the Seahawks after you picked the Browns, I think. But
okay.
We'll just keep
so
going.
You know what? You get 2 in a row. Go 17 and 16.
Okay,
Let's hear
perfect. Oh, geez, I get the toughest part of the rankings, I feel like. So my first pick will be the Falcons. I know some people probably have them a little higher after the win against the 49ers. They just seem a little wishy-washy to me. I don't know. I mean, Marcus Mariota had a good game, and I think 17th, I think it's a pretty high spot for a team that wasn't looking to be very good coming into the season, but Marcus Mariota was the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. The running games looked solid with Cordarrelle Patterson out. Caleb Huntley's playing well. Tyler's playing pretty well. They're 6-0 against the spread. That's crazy. That doesn't happen when you're an underdog in every game so far this season, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But that's where I had him. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I had them at 16, so like right around here.
Okay.
Marcus Mariota, 14 passes thrown, 13 of those completions. That's about as efficient as it gets. Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown on American soil, for the first time. I like this Falcons team. I've been high on them as a spicy team, not necessarily a playoff team, but they're 3-3. They're now back tied for the lead for the NFC South again with the Bucs after the Bucs loss. I just like how this team is coached from Arthur Smith. I like how they're playing. Yeah. I think this is a good spot to have them in at 3-3. Go ahead and give us number 16 too. We give you 2 in a row here, Jimmy.
This might be another one where people have them a little higher. The Tennessee Titans. I know they had a bye this week. I just can't really put them too much higher up at this point. I still think they're kind of a middle of the pack team. I know some people will look at their defense. Jeffrey Simmons has been playing really well. Ryan Tannehill's been playing solid. Derrick Henry's been playing solid, but I'm just waiting to see, and I'll bump them up if they beat the Colts this week.
So they were on bye. They did win 3 in a row prior to the bye.
Right.
Didn't necessarily beat any high-powered teams, but hey, a win's a win. I have them quite a bit higher. I actually have them at 11.
Yeah, that's
because of that. Because they have a winning record at the end of the day. They've won 3 in a row. They're trending in the right direction instead of the wrong direction. And the team that I'm going to put at 15, I actually had at 17. And I have now watched this Green Bay Packers team lose to New York teams. Granted, these New York teams are playing very well, but the Packers just, what's their identity? They can't throw the ball. Their running game is not as efficient as it was earlier in the season. And this defense, which on paper should be a top 5 or better unit, can't stop Zach Wilson and the Jets, or Daniel Jones and the Giants in London. So I have real concerns when the 2-time reigning NFL MVP and Aaron Rodgers has to say we need to simplify this offense, an offense he's been in for 4 years now under Matt LaFleur. There are real problems in Green Bay, and so to me, they're lucky to be at 15. I had them at 17.
Yeah, there's a lot of real problems. I have them at 14. I don't know if it's because I think they'll improve throughout the rest of the season, but Aaron Rodgers did say on the Pat McAfee show that at least all the other teams in the NFC around him, like the Buccaneers and the Rams, at least they're kind of in the same situation. They're trying to figure things out, and I feel like these teams are better on paper, and I think they could get better with better coaching stuff. But Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers don't seem on the same page at all.
They need to. I don't care if it's simplifying things or finding a way to get ball in your playmakers, but you have to turn this around. They are one of those teams, unlike the Titans I mentioned, who are trending in the wrong direction, and now multiple games behind the Vikings, and the Vikings have the tiebreaker from the head-to-head victory in Week 1. So now you're staring up at the division lead, let alone actually making a splash in the NFC. All right, let's hear number 14.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put the New England Patriots. Some people might have them higher than some of the teams that lost this week. I wanted to keep them around this spot. I think Bailey Zappe's been playing really well. The college record breaker out here, just putting up 100-plus passer rating games. He's 2-0. You love to see it. Belichick, he has the second most wins ever now, which is awesome. They're slowly creeping up our rankings. I've always said they'd be middle of the pack, but they seem to be improving, and people think there's a QB controversy now. That seems like the narrative so far this season is like a team QB comes in like Cooper Rush and plays pretty good, gets some wins, and then people think there's a QB controversy. But I think Mac Jones will come back eventually.
I was listening to one of the many NFL podcasts I listen to, and one of them brought up a good point when it comes to QB controversy. There's no controversy in Dallas with the amount of money they paid Dak Prescott. There's no controversy in Cleveland with the amount of money, especially guaranteed money, that they gave Deshaun Watson versus Jacoby Brissett. But Mac Jones is on a rookie contract, even though it's a first-round contract. Bailey Zappe, granted, I don't think he necessarily brings anything that Mac Jones doesn't. They're actually very, very similar profile of quarterbacks. But I don't think it's completely out of left field to say that there could be some sort of competition. I don't necessarily know if it's there yet, but there could be. He came in, he nearly beat the Packers in relief, took them to overtime, and then won 2 starts in a row. Granted, against lesser competition, but still, there's something like I don't view Mac Jones drastically better than Bailey Zappe at this point.
Yeah, I think Zappe's putting up a good resume. I was just more saying that I think Mac Jones will come back and play when he's healthy. Probably. And then if whatever happens after that, who knows? Because Zappe's put together a good resume so far. And if Bill Belichick likes him, he'll do it. But I think, Mac Jones will at least get a chance to keep his job. But, I don't think he was playing too bad when he was playing.
I had the Patriots at 15, so I'm kind of in agreement. There was a part of me that like, do I want to put them higher? But they're 3-3. They've still lost 3 games.
Yeah, I had them at 15 too, which is the funny part of these rankings.
Yeah, it always seems to work out in the end. Moving on to number 13, let's go ahead and put the defending Super Bowl champion LA Rams. I mentioned last week on multiple episodes that who better to play after the Rams were on a 2-game losing streak and just kind of getting embarrassed by the Cowboys than to play the Panthers, who are the worst team in the NFL. That's as get right a game as you can. The Bucs get the Panthers this week. It's just like whoever needs to fix things, play Carolina. You'll feel better about yourselves afterwards. Still a lot of problems in LA. At least they got to run the ball. It's almost like I can't judge these teams who play the Panthers as well, but a win's a win. You won. You covered the spread. You established the run a little bit. There's the whole Cam Akers situation, but Darrell Henderson scored a touchdown. Yeah. Cooper Kupp did Cooper Kupp things, and Allen Robinson actually showed up for this game. If they can keep those things going, they have enough talent on the defensive ball. They should at least be able to stay competitive for a playoff spot in the NFC.
Yeah, at the beginning of the game, I was like, are they about to lose to the Panthers? Are we about to have to bring them down all the way to the 20s for our power rankings? Because, I mean, that's just not a good look. But they did pull out the win fairly convincingly in the second half and towards the end of the game. But the left tackle got injured at the beginning of the game.
Vince Skoranek,
Ben Skoranek had a couple good rushing touchdowns. They kind of won in a different way, which I was excited to see. Cooper Kupp always gets his fantasy points, though.
They get a bye this week, so it's like you win the game, you get the bye, you get their second matchup against the Niners after the bye. That's an opportunity to make a statement and try to make a run in the NFC West. Let's move on to number 12. Jimmy, who do you got?
I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the team that's kind of similar to the Rams in terms of the disappointment so far. They're 3-3, but as the Packers said, a lot of the teams in the NFC, the Rams, the Packers, the 49ers, the Bucs, they're all 3-3. I don't know. I can't believe they lost to the Steelers. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it. Brady got pressured a lot. And he didn't get sacked. He only got sacked a couple times, but you could see him yelling at his offensive line on the sideline, which that happens sometimes. I mean, he just seems frustrated throughout the season, and I'm kind of waiting to see their high-powered offense get going, but
I'm not sure it's going to. So this is a Steelers defense without TJ Watt, who had one of the lowest QB pressure rates in the NFL coming into this week. Add to that, they were missing almost their entire starting secondary. Minkah Fitzpatrick didn't play in this game, and the Bucs still weren't able to muster. Even when they got drives together, they were field goal drives. This Bucs team is missing kind of that killer edge. And I said earlier in the show that is what has always made Tom Brady stand out and be successful, is that just insane level of competitive edge. Yeah. And I'm not seeing that. So I am worried about it. But hey, like I said, they get the Panthers this week. You don't need a competitive edge to beat Carolina. I had them at 13. So, we're kind of close in a line there. Let's keep it rolling and see who you have at number 11.
It's your pick now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yep. Number 11. Who do I have at number 11? I'm all over the board. Who do you have? I'm going to go ahead and put the Cincinnati Bengals here.
Okay.
We finally got to see the offense to what we thought we were going to see. Jamar Chase with 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards, returning to the Superdome where he won that national championship with LSU. Joe Burrow wearing the Jamar Chase jersey, goes in, scores 4 touchdowns, including a rushing touchdown, passes for 300 yards. Running game is looking a little better. It's not as dominant as it was last year. Mm-hmm. Offensive line protecting Joe Burrow a little bit better. If they can keep this trend going in the right direction, I could see Cincinnati continuing to climb these rankings.
Yeah, I had them a couple spots higher. I really liked their offensive show against the Saints. I know the Saints are beat up, but I feel like that could be a momentum boost for the Bengals. I know they kind of let up a lot of yards, but I think Joe Mixon's been good. He just needs to get some touchdowns under his belt. And they just have so many weapons. I think they'll figure it out by the end of the season.
Yeah, I guess the offense certainly looked good against a Saints defense that has not looked great, but still, you put up the points, you be competitive. That's all the Bengals can ask for right now. All right, let's start in the top 10.
All right, I have the San Fran 49ers. I had them at 11, so not too far off here. Jimmy G had a pretty tough day with a couple interceptions. Jeff Wilson had a fumble, didn't look good on the rushing side of the ball. They let up 20 points for the first time this season. Just an unfortunate game against the Falcons, who dominated them for the most part that game. And I know the Falcons are below them, but that's just not how the power rankings always work with some of these teams. I think the 49ers will come back and and
They're
show
so
that
beat up.
they can win.
They're missing so many players. Their entire starting defensive line was out for this one.
Oh, yeah.
Emmanuel Mosley lost for the year the week before, and Charvarius Ward got injured at the start of this game. On the other side, you don't have Trent Williams, one of the best left tackles in the game, and that Jeff Wilson fumble to give that scoop and score to give the Falcons a 14-0 lead. I know they came back and tied it up, but from a morale standpoint, at home in Atlanta, this game was always in Atlanta's control. But I also had the 49ers at number 10, so I think this is the right place for them now. They're still in first in the NFC West. No need for panic. This wasn't a very big game as far as impact when it comes to the playoff race. Let's go to number 9. Baltimore Ravens. If they keep losing, they're not going to stay in the top 10 much longer. You can say all you want about Lamar and the talent and their ability to put up points, and this defense can make plays, but some of these teams are finding ways to win, like the Giants, and some of these teams, like the Ravens, keep finding ways to lose. At some point, you can't just say, oh, well, they almost won. At some point, you have to say, okay, there is something fundamentally wrong with the makeup of this team that they can't close these games out. So, yes, they're at number 9. They're 3-3, but they're definitely trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson, I posted this stat, which was pretty interesting to people. He has like a 90... He has like a 100 passer rating in the first, second, and third, and then it drops to like 56 in the fourth quarter. So that's not going to say it. Is it Lamar Jackson's fault? Maybe. Is it offensive coordinator's fault? That's kind of what people are discussing right now. But we'll just have to wait and see. They need to finish games, though, until they move farther in the power rankings.
Yeah, at the end of the day, unless you can, like you squeaked out that win against the Bengals, which is why you're still ahead of Cincinnati, but you start losing more of these games like you did to the Giants with an interception and a fumble, you should have closed that game out. All right, let's move on to number 8.
All right, we need to move a little faster. We've only got a couple minutes left, but I have the Jets, the 4-2 Jets.
Same.
Who would have thought? They're in the playoff picture. We talked about before the season. Young stars are playing well. Sauce Gardner, Breece Hall, Quinnen Williams. I mean, this is just an amazing feat to see, and this is what you wanted when you drafted these players, for them to play well. Quinnen Williams had a couple sacks. They haven't made
10
the playoffs
QB pressures in that game. Williams was a beast.
But they haven't made the playoffs since 2010, and right now they're in the hope. I mean, there's still a lot of game left to be played, but I think Jets fans are excited to see them putting up points and putting up good wins. They beat the Packers. The Packers are a good team.
Yeah, shout out to the Jets. You've now won convincingly 2 weeks in a row. Shout out to Pro Football Demon, number 8 in our power rankings. Man. Let's keep on rolling at number 7. I'm going to go ahead and put the Chargers. Found a way to win that game against a lackluster Broncos team, but hey, it's a division win. It's a conference win. They're 4-2. We don't have to say too much. We can keep it rolling here. I think the Chargers at number 7 makes sense.
Yep, I agree with you. Justin Herbert had no touchdowns, which was crazy. Anyways, the Cowboys I have at the next spot. They took a loss, but it was against the Eagles. It was against their division rival. I like
how they fought back, too. I like how they were down 20-0 and got it to within 3 points. That says something.
Right, and Cooper Rush even had a tough game. So when the Dak attack comes back, we'll have to wait and see what happens with the Cowboys. But
they play Anthony's Lions this weekend. Interested to see how Dak plays. How about at number 5, the team that has gotten us the most comments in the power rankings? How about the 5-1 New York Football Giants at number 5 in the Legit Football NFL Stats power rankings? Nothing else to say, but this Dable team find ways to win. I don't care what their roster looks like. I don't care what PFF grades are. They're at 5-1. They're in sole possession of the NFC East. They get the number 5 spot.
Kayvon Thibodeau was crying after the game. I'm sure a lot of New York Giants fans are crying tears of joy right now. Obviously, it's only week 6, so they're probably not crying too hard. They just want to keep seeing them winning, but it's awesome to see.
All right, we got 20 seconds. We're clearly going to go to overtime. It's just fun to talk about these teams. Let's hear who you got at number 4.
Hopefully, we're putting on a better show than the Chargers and the Broncos do. Hope when we go into overtime here, when they only had very few yards and no first downs. Anyways, I have the Vikings, the 5-1 Vikings. I've been low on them recently, but they just keep winning. And it's hard to say otherwise. Justin Jefferson's always playing well. Kirk Cousins is always playing well. It's the best start since 2016. Only loss coming against the Eagles. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Anthony, why don't you put 2 minutes on the dude read my mind. That's why he's the producer of my show. Awesome. So let's go ahead. I want to give a little more time to these top 3 teams. 1 and 2 we can debate, but 3 I think is obvious, and that's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. It's basically like toe-to-toe with Josh Allen and the Bills. They had opportunities to win that game, but at the end of the day, it was Mahomes throwing the interception and Josh Allen going down and throwing the go-ahead touchdown to Dawson Knox. And hopefully we see a rematch of that in the playoffs. The Chiefs are still absolutely one of the best teams in the NFL, but they've now lost 2 games, sitting at 4-2. And yes, for those of you 5-1 Vikings, 5-1 Giants, come on, guys. If you played the Chiefs would be favored, and I don't think you could argue too much. It'd probably be competitive, but I'm comfortable putting KC at 3.
Yeah, I mean, when the Bills and Chiefs play each other, you don't know who's going to win. That's the beauty of the game. That's why everybody loves to see them play each other, and I wish I could see a game, like 7-game series with them. But you can put the Bills at number 2 for me. I have the Bills at number 2. I mean, that just goes along. If you've watched our other rankings or looked at our other rankings, or the Eagles have been number 1, the Bills have been up there. But, I mean, the Bills might have the best roster so far. They only have 1 loss. Josh Allen is a cheat code. Stephon Diggs is a cheat code, but this is more about just the Eagles being undefeated and beating a good team in the Cowboys.
And it's finding ways to win. We have to remind, I know it was a swampy game in Miami, but the Bills did not find a way to win that game in Miami. They could have. They were driving. They had some miscues on that final drive, and they lost. The Eagles have found a way to win no matter what happens. Get up 20-0 on the Cowboys. Cowboys come back within 3. Eagles grind it out to win. They let the Cardinals back in the game to tie up the game, grind out the victory. Get down 14-0 to the Jaguars, find a way to come back and take that win. As long as the Eagles keep winning, they're going to keep being number 1 in both of our power rankings. We're fully aligned here. But at the end of the day, I think we're going to see the Bills and Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Just continuing to throw that out there. Maybe it'll be Eagles versus one of these 2 teams in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Eagles have a +12 turnover differential, and the next best team is +4. So, I mean, that's how they're winning games. It's awesome to see. 3 interceptions.
One of the things I want to do, and I haven't done it yet, I've been meaning to, bring it back up. Anthony, I'm about to thank you. I want to go through, just read them 32-1, so that, let's say, I don't pay enough attention to the audio-only listeners. I know there are people who only listen to this podcast in audio form and don't watch it on YouTube, which, by the way, feel free, subscribe to the YouTube, everybody. But if you just want to listen to it, that's fine. I get it. I listen to a ton of podcasts. I'm going to recap 32-1. So at 32, we have the Panthers, 31 Texans, 30 Lions, 29 Bears, 28 Commanders, 27 Broncos, let's ride, 26 Jaguars, 25 Cardinals, 24 Steelers, 23 Las Vegas Raiders, 22 Saints, 21 Browns, 20 the Seahawks, 19 your Colts, 18 my Dolphins, 17, the Spicy Falcons. 16, Titans. Probably going to get some crap for that one. 15, Packers. Win some games, Green Bay. 14, Patriots. 13, defending Super Bowl champ Rams. 12, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Steer the ship in a different direction. 11, Bengals. 10, 49ers. Shout out to my 49ers listeners out there. 9, Ravens. 8, Jets, shout out Pro Football Demon. 7, Chargers. 6, Cowboys. 5, New York Football Giants. 4, 5-1, Minnesota Vikings. 6, Chiefs. 2, Bills. And 1, the undefeated Eagles. We've done it again, Jimmy. We've gotten through another power rankings. Any wise words to leave the listeners and viewers before we call it off?
My Titans ranking might be similar to what happened with my Giants a few weeks ago, but I'm going to stick to it and see what happens. I mean, that's okay.
I always hey guys, this was not my rankings. Ask Jimmy. So I'm going to do that. I expect that as well. Guys, thank you for tuning in every Wednesday, whether it's live or listening or watching later, to our power rankings. I know a lot of you guys just like to comment on the Twitter graphic. That's fine as well. We love to hear your feedback. I will be back tomorrow for a full hour with the Pro Football Demon starting at 7 Eastern. 4 Pacific. We're taking live viewer questions. We did it for an hour last week, and we still didn't get to all the questions. So if you're an audio-only listener, you want to ask us questions, tune in to the 30 Minutes of Football YouTube channel. And on Friday, we'll have Tanner Karn for our Week 7 NFL game picks. Make sure to check out NFL_stats on Twitter, legitfootball.com for all your football needs. Thank you for listening and watching. This has been 30 Minutes of Football with Legit Football. We'll see you guys tomorrow. That's spicy. Jimmy Garoppolo on there could be a benefit, but have they kind of burned that bridge?
We'll say this. Gardner Minshew is the best backup in the NFL.
I love Gardner.